Hey, this video is not for the average person that wants an entertaining 10 tips on how to boost motivation that you can get from ChatGPT. This video is for the serious visionary. If you're a high achiever, you have goals, and you know that you have a lot of potential, but you have this problem where you hinder your own progress because you lose motivation, this video is for you. What you need is not quick fixes or temporary solutions. What you need is transformational change for long-term success. If you know me, you know that I understand what it takes to succeed. But if you don't know me, hi, my name is Bianca St. George, also known as BSG, and I'm a professional soccer player. I play in the most competitive league in the world, and I have represented Canada on the world stage. I had to put in consistent work to be in the top 1% of athletes that become professional. This is not to toot my own horn. This is just for me to have some sort of credibility, for you to trust me, to know that this presentation is worth your time. Now, I also have other goals like building a like-minded community, but it's literally so easy to stay consistent and make progress because I just know how success works. Today, I'm going to teach you on a fundamental level what to do to reach your goal when you struggle with low motivation. I want you to reach your potential, and I'm doing this because that makes me fulfilled. Plain and simple. I made this presentation for you. It's practical, it's actionable, it's logical, and I know that it is dense and it is lengthy, but I know that that's what I would want because I'm serious about my success. And when I consume content, I want it to be valuable. I promise you that if you listen until the end and you apply what I tell you, your life will change. So here's the plan for today. This presentation is separated in two parts. The first part, I share you the biggest lesson. And then the second part, I tell you how to apply the lesson in a step-by-step fashion. Because a lot of YouTube videos, they tell you the biggest lesson, but they don't tell you how to incorporate that lesson in your daily life. I got this all covered for you in this whole video, so make sure you watch until the end. The reason why I chose this video topic is because I have a private self-improvement community on School where I ask people, what is one thing that is holding you back from achieving your goals? And there was an overwhelming response related to having low motivation. I'm gonna come in real hot and strong here. Here's a harsh reality you have to accept. If you ever think, I was doing so well, but then I lost motivation, meaning that you are using low motivation as an excuse to a reason why you're not achieving your goal, I guarantee if you keep that mindset, you will always remain average. For me, motivation has been lost a long time ago. Here's a condensed timeline of some milestones I reached throughout my soccer career. As you see, I had a 6 years old start where I started playing recreationally for my local town. Actually, it was called a village. That's how small it was. And then along the way, I have made my pro debut and I have played with the best player in the whole world. And now today I'm on my 6th year as a professional soccer player. To get where I'm at today, I had to train on the field, train in the gym, perfect my diet, perfect my sleep. I had to study the game, make sacrifices, fail over and over again. Basically, I had to constantly put in the work regardless of how I felt. Now it's your time to ask me, how many days did I feel motivated? I was motivated about 1% of the time. What does someone like me know that you don't? How was I able to stay consistent, to make progress, to fail but never give up, and still become successful with barely any motivation? Literally, I had to ask myself this question because while I was preparing for this presentation, I was wondering what makes me work right now, because I knew for a damn fact that I was not motivated. I did not feel like preparing for this presentation. I did not feel energized. I did not feel excited about it, but I was still doing the work anyways. As I was reflecting, I realized this. I simply do not care about motivation anymore. Motivation has become overrated in my life. I somehow realized that early on in my teenage years that I needed something reliable to keep me going. Motivation had an expiration date. It was fleeting. It was unpredictable. So I decided to build this one skill: self-discipline. If you feel disappointed because I said self-discipline, you don't understand the power that it holds. I love self-discipline because to me, it is an act of self-love. Self-discipline is what brought me my success. It's what makes me proud of who I am today. You need to respect the power of self-discipline. Why does self-discipline work? Because it allows you to do the work regardless of how you feel. Think about it. The problem that you have right now is that you can't get yourself to do the work because you're not feeling motivated. But self-discipline doesn't care about feeling. All it cares about is taking action. Self-discipline is what allows you to overcome that friction or agitation you feel before you start doing the work. If you have self-discipline, you do not need motivation. You never have to rely on it because self-discipline is all that you need. When you decide to practice self-discipline and you force yourself to start working, you inevitably get into this flow because your brain dumps a neurotransmitter called dopamine, which is the same molecule associated with motivation. Do you get what I'm saying? I don't do something because I'm motivated. I do something because I'm self-disciplined, and as a reward, I get motivated because I see myself making progress. I'm not making this up. This is how our biology works. It's like going to the gym. The worst part is the period before going to the gym when you're getting ready, because once you're there and you're moving, you start focus on doing and not feeling. And when you do things, your brain rewards you because they're just happy that you have taken the hard step to get started. To answer your question at the beginning of the video, what to do when you don't feel motivated, the answer is this: you need to do the work anyway. And the more that you practice to do the work anyways, regardless of how you feel, the easier it is to do the work and be self-disciplined. So the remaining of my video is going to be a specific focus, a step-by-step on how to become self-disciplined. What are the practical steps that you need to take to become this new version of yourself? The best part is that you'll never have to rely on motivation again. There are 6 steps to this protocol. Step 1 is to go to couples therapy. And if right away you started thinking about your partner and you're like, yeah, you're right, I could go to couples therapy, well, you have other issues to worry about, because I'm not talking about your romantic relationship. I'm talking about your relationship to motivation. Because right now, your relationship with motivation is toxic. You're in a toxic relationship and you need to heal that. Right now, you're way too dependent, and it's never good to be dependent on someone or something. So the goal for step 1 is to find a way to change your relationship to motivation. And the way to go about this is to tackle the psychology first. I'm going to illustrate this example for you to understand your relationship right now. And I'm going to put a trigger warning right now about eating disorders. So if that's something that applies to you, just be careful right now. If you rely on motivation to get things done, it's kind of like you're on a yo-yo diet. If you don't know what the yo-yo diet is, it's basically where you do a massive calorie restriction to lose weight, and then you actually do lose weight really fast, and then you're happy, so you stop the diet, but then you go back to your previous eating pattern, and then you gain the weight back. And then you feel bad about yourself, and you might self-sabotage and eat even more to compensate for that, and then you eventually gain more weight than you started. After a period of time, you start feeling motivated again to start the diet, and then you repeat the cycle again. So you can see how it's toxic, and it goes up and down just like a yo-yo. The problem is that the more that you do the yo-yo diet, the more difficult it is to lose that weight, because your body has been so starved, so stressed, that it has learned to enter this protection mode to hold on to the fat, and then it doesn't make you lose weight or lose fat anymore. So you see that something that looked beneficial at the beginning ends up being this toxic cycle that leads to self-sabotage and eventually failure to reaching your goals. Motivation is the same thing. If you rely on motivation to get things done, and then when you don't feel motivated, you quit, you lose momentum, you lose progress, eventually you lead to self-sabotaging behaviors to numb that feeling that you have lost your progress. You might engage in toxic behaviors like partying, over drinking, smoking weed, or maybe doing things that don't seem that harmful to the external eyes, but it's keeping you complacent. It's you staying in your comfort zone, but you know that comfort is a killer, and I know you don't want to be average, and you need to get out of your comfort zone to make things happen. Eventually, it gets harder for you to see progress towards your goals, because every cycle of motivation and no motivation, you take a bigger step back. So the solution to this is to work on your psychology. People that go on extreme diets are looking for a quick fix, their relationship to food hasn't changed. But if they actually focus on the psychology behind it of healthy eating, they could make it a lifestyle where it's sustainable and gradual. And it might take longer to see progress within their body, within their goals, but eventually it's sustainable and life-changing in the long term. You got to do the same thing with motivation. You got to learn how to heal your relationship to it. And honestly, to heal it, it's to let it go. And you need to start tackling the psychology of how to become more self-disciplined. And we will cover that in the next 2 steps that follow. Step 2 is to sign this contract. And the reason why I use the word contract is because it makes it feel serious. It feels like a commitment. And this is something that you need to commit to. What you believe affects what you do. And what you do affects your current reality. But right now, you have tons of beliefs that are holding you back from the reality that you actually want. So our goal is to change some of your thoughts so that it allows you to become a self-disciplined person. And the solution that I have for you to change your thoughts is I'm going to make you do this contract with yourself where you're accepting these 4 new truths. Number 1, don't ever expect to feel motivated. You're here literally because you were freaking out since you're not feeling motivated and you're like, what can I do? I want you to not even expect it anymore. Like I said, for me, it's overrated in my life. I don't even care about the feeling of motivation. Accept that this is your new reality. If you want to be built different and have a different life, you need to have some extreme thinking like that. Think about it. The majority of people don't feel motivated just like you do right now, but they let that be an excuse for their lack of progress. If you don't feel motivated, but you do the work anyways, you're going to be ahead of 99% of people. Just because you decide to do the work regardless of how you feel. It's as simple as that. If you don't know, I'm Canadian, and oftentimes people tell me, oh, I could never do the cold. I'm like, I love it. And they always look at me with like a puzzled face, like, how can you love the cold? And I respond, while people are being weak, I get stronger. I know it sounds psychotic a little bit, but when people complain about the cold and they want to stay home and they don't want to make the effort because it's cold outside, I'm like, this is especially the time for me to do things differently because that's where I'm going to get better. I'm going to make progress while everyone is getting weaker. That's how I'm going to separate myself from the crowd, which leads me to number 2. The second truth you have to accept is to go opposite of the crowd. If you want to be different, you need to do things differently. And I know that that's what you want because you're a high achiever. That's who I attract on my channel. I don't attract people that want to remain average. But sometimes people have such a hard time letting go of their old life because it's comfortable and it's what everybody else is doing. And it's just going to feel lonely to let that go. But you have goals that are bigger than the average person. So you need to do things differently. You cannot be delusional and think that you're going to keep doing what most people are doing and have different results. You need to step away from the crowd. And what does that mean? Is that when people do the conventional things, such as on weekend, they go partying, they socialize, they drink, they spend time on their phone, they watch TV, you need to put in the work towards your goal. You need to prioritize your dream. You have things that are aligned to where you want to go that are not what the average person is doing right now. The magic that you are looking for is in the work that you're avoiding. When I was in college, I had 3 other roommates. And on the weekend, a lot of people would come to our apartment because it was really low on furniture and pretty clean overall. So it was a great place to party. Every time people came over, I was nowhere to be found because I was in my room, I locked the door, and I was studying. I knew that I wanted my future to look different than their future, so I had to do things differently. And I know that my future is different now because I'm a professional athlete and I have a like-minded community on YouTube and I'm building my dream. I know that I'm not average right now, and the best part is I know that I keep leveling up. The third thing in your contract is to make success your responsibility. I love this one. No matter what you want, you will always find a way. That's what you have to tell yourself. This is the mentality that you need. In the past, I've given this example where it's like when you have a baby and you're a parent, no matter what happens, you will always find a way to feed, love, and nurture your baby because it is your responsibility. I could use tons of other examples. We act the same way towards our finances. Like we don't want to be kicked out and put to the streets, so we are being financially responsible. We do the same thing with our work. We don't want to lose our job, so we're being responsible. So you usually make those a priority and follow the rules because you want to avoid the consequences that can happen if you don't. It should be the same thing with your potential. If you don't prioritize your dreams, you'll have consequences. You'll feel regret, you'll feel disappointment, you'll have poor mental health. You need to view your dreams as your personal responsibility. So no matter how you feel, if you feel tired, if you feel like you had a bad night's sleep, if you feel like you have no energy, it is your responsibility to work towards your dreams, so you will always find a way. Now, the fourth part of the contract, which is the last one, is to not trust your brain. Your brain will always be so creative and give you tons of excuses all the time. You cannot listen to your brain. Your brain doesn't know what's best for you. Your brain only cares for your survival. It cares that you do what's easy and it wants you to save your energy. But we're not living in an age where lions are chasing us and we have to think about our survival 24/7. You need to put your brain to sleep and just go tunnel vision on your dream. Whatever excuses that pop in your brain, you decide if it's real or not. You decide if it's valid or not. For me, every time I have an excuse, a bad thought, a negative thought, I like, spam mail. I literally view it as spam mail where I'm like, delete, not useful, garbage. You don't need that. It's not going to serve you. Excuses are not even real. You're the one that decides to make it real. The third step to building self-discipline is to change your identity. Right now, you have a personality, right? I wish I knew you, but I know that you have a personality, and that personality that you have shapes your behavior as well. So basically, the way that you view yourself dictates what you do. So the problem is that right now, you don't view yourself as a self-disciplined person because you don't really have proof. You haven't really been that person. I want you to realize that you are actually a blank sheet of potential and you can change instantly if you want to. You just have to commit to this. You need to make self-discipline part of your personality. So what I mean by that is like when you fold your clothes before you put it away, you do it because you are an organized person. When you show up early to meetings, you do that because you are a prompt person. So when you put in the work, when you don't feel like it, you do that because you're a self-disciplined person. It's the way that you talk to yourself, it's the way that you view yourself that dictates what you do. So you need to start viewing yourself as a self-disciplined person. Don't wait until you become self-disciplined. Just think that way first. The beautiful thing about personalities is that they always evolve and that they are flexible and can change, and you can choose how you want to change. Here are 2 ways that you can change your personalities, and you can do both. The first way is to remove all self-limiting beliefs about yourself. There's no reason to hold on to these beliefs. Stop associating yourself as a procrastinator. Stop saying that you're lazy. Stop saying that you can't focus. Those narratives do not help you. They're literally just coping mechanism to trap you, to make you believe that you cannot change and do anything about it. It's a way for your brain to do what's comfortable to save your energy just in case a lion will come chase you. But that's not the world we live in today. We live in a world of abundance where you can actualize your dream. This is the best age to live in. You can literally make anything you want happen. So don't let self-limiting beliefs hold you back. So start fresh and start viewing yourself as a self-disciplined person. And the second way to actually change is to, before bed or any time that you can, start visualizing that version of yourself that is self-disciplined. So for example, when I wanted to start working out early in the morning, which is something that is out of my routine, before bed, I would visualize the whole process of me getting ready to go to the gym and to be that disciplined version of myself. Okay. Sorry. Hello. Okay. I don't need you right now. I just want you to realize that visualization can be very powerful, and that if you teach your brain to see yourself as a self-disciplined person, it gives you kind of like the foundation, the potential to become that person. And then the most important thing is that the next day you have to go out and apply that, because the goal is to consistently do that, to reinforce that new identity until it becomes natural, until you have to not think about it, and where you actually end up doing hard things without it feeling so hard. So we just went through some mindsets and psychology behind self-discipline, but now let's talk about the work of self-discipline? What can you do physically that makes you more self-disciplined? Step 4 is all about creating your vision. I am so shocked by the amount of people that don't have a vision for themselves. I've been future-oriented ever since I graduated high school. And I know that played a massive part into me becoming so self-disciplined. Because when you're future-oriented, you understand that making short-term sacrifices lead to long-term bigger rewards. Discipline is all about delaying gratification. The opposite of that is instant gratification. That's what you get from scrolling through TikTok. It's instant dopamine. It's instant reward. But when you're being disciplined, you are kind of like doing the hard work so you have reward later on. But that reward later on is way more fulfilling, deep, profound, and meaningful than anything you could have done in the short term. So if you want to be disciplined now, you need to have a vision of how rewarding that future can be for you. That is what a vision is. Your vision is supposed to paint a picture of your desired future. And once you do that, it gives you a sense of direction into what you should do in your day-to-day life and what you should prioritize moving forward. So how do you create a vision? Because, ew, what the fuck? Mosquito? Okay, I'm gonna have to kill that motherfucker later. So how do you create that vision? And the reason why I'm so surprised that so many people don't have a vision is because I found that out on my self-improvement group. A lot of people don't really know where they're headed, and it's new for them to start thinking about the future. So I'm like, wow, I really need to emphasize this point. You need to create a vision by asking yourself what you truly desire. And you have to be really raw, authentic, real, and shameless here. And I'm going to give you a little bit of clues that people don't really talk about, but usually it's related to very egocentric desires, such as wanting to be perceived as beautiful or powerful, wanting to be respected or loved, or wanting to increase status. So whatever that means to you, you need to have a connection to something that you desire. And don't feel bad if that's something that you want. You're a good person. Being perceived as beautiful doesn't make you a bad person. Having a lot of money or being high status doesn't make you a bad person. It's who you are in your heart. It's your intention. It's what you decide to do with all that wealth that you create that determines who you are. My advice is that you journal about it, that you really try to ask yourself those questions and imagine scenarios in the future that you want. And to make it even more emotional, I suggest that you create a vision board where you put images, because one image speaks 1,000 words. Remember when I said that I get motivated 1% of the time? It's this time when I get to create a new vision for myself. It's when I have reached a certain goal or things have become easy and complacent and I'm ready for some change. And then I'd get excited because I get to dream big again. And that's when it's pleasurable and it's exciting and I have energy. And that's when I feel the motivation because I'm setting a new standard for myself. But like the saying goes, motivation gets you started, which is creating the vision board. But self-discipline is what keeps you going, which is 90% of the time where I'm focusing on actually achieving that new vision for myself. Moving on to step 5. Make a plan. So a vision is great because it gives you an overall objective, but we need to narrow down to a short-term goal. And I want you to pick one thing that you're going to focus on, and you need to make one priority. I know that you have 1,000 different things that you want in your life, but if you put your attention to 1,000 different things, you're going to make minimal progress. Your brain is not meant to have multiple things at the same time. Your brain is the most efficient if you get to focus on one thing at a time. And if you want to make the most progress, why self-sabotage early on by creating tons of different goals? This is where most people fail, and this is where manifestation doesn't work. It's people that get themselves to daydream to create that vision and then stop there expecting it to happen through wishful thinking. Your dream will happen through the disciplined action that you will take every day. So you might know what you want, but you might be a little bit unclear of what your day-to-day look like. And this step is dedicated to clarifying what that to-do list or what that day looks like for you. And the more that you do that every single day, the more you're going to reinforce that self-discipline identity that you're trying to create. The way that we're going to make a plan is that we're going to prioritize one thing, we're going to make a SMART goal, and then we're going to lay out the content of the plan. So first, pick a priority. And I know there's a lot of things in your life that you might want to pick, but choose one that is challenging, important, and that will have a domino effect on other things. For example, fitness is a good example because usually when you are physically fit, it allows you to be more energized, focused, productive. I mean, you understand that being healthy is beneficial to you and can impact other areas of your life. Now you want to make that goal SMART. So here's how you're going to break down the goal. To make sure that the goal is setting you up for success, it has to fit those 5 criteria. It has to be specific, measurable, achievable, relevant, and time-bound. So let's go with the example of picking physical fitness as your priority. Is it specific? What is the desired outcome? It's to be fit, healthy, and lean. Is it measurable? How can you track the progress? Well, every week you can track your body weight, and every month you can do a body comp. You can also track your macros. Now, is it achievable? Meaning, is it realistic or overambitious? Yes, it's achievable because you have a gym, you have a body, and you're also hiring a personal trainer. Is it relevant? Like, does it align to that big vision that you have? Is it meaningful? And then, yes, in my vision, I am healthy and sexy. Finally, is it time-bound? What time frame are you willing to commit to? And in this example, yes, I'm going to commit for a specific workout plan for 6 months. So once you've had the priority and you've made the goal SMART, the last step is to be clear about the content of the goal. So what I mean by that, in this example, it would be the workout plan. What does it look like on your daily basis? If you're not doing something in physical fitness, it could have something related to a to-do list, and you have to list out everything that needs to be done. Let's say your goal is related to content creation. Be specific about your schedule, your content strategy, and what type of post you're gonna do, and when you're gonna do it, and how often you're gonna do it. The more clarity you have, the more consistent you will be. So make sure that you have everything laid out of what you're gonna do, but don't get too specific about it in a way where you're almost paralyzed since you don't really know how exactly it's going to unfold. There are things that you do not know yet and that you will figure out along the way. Just do your best to try to figure out a plan that you're going to stick to for whatever time frame you have set for yourself. And then finally, let's go into step 6. This is the reason why you failed in the past. You have not trusted the process. The problem is that people expect results right away. And this is just because of the world we live in with instant hits of dopamine all the time. But you need to practice patience long enough for you to see the first signs of success, and that will give you a boost to keep you going. That will give you the momentum that you need to keep going. Once you start seeing those little signs that it's going to work, you just have to trust that you're on the right path, and eventually you will become confident that it's going to work. That's how I feel with this YouTube channel, with the community I'm building, because I consistently show up. I'm self-disciplined every day. Everything I do is to create value for this channel and for my subscriber and for the people that believe in me. I want to give so much value, and because I put my whole attention to that and I dedicate my whole time for that and I'm being self-disciplined, I know it's going to work out. And I've gotten signs in the past that it's been working, and I'm just riding that wave. And just so you know, it won't feel good the whole time, especially when you're uninspired and maybe feeling indifferent towards your goal. Maybe sometimes you're like, I don't really care that much about that dream. Don't let your brain trick you. Right now, you have made this conscious plan. You are aligned. You know what you want. You have made this whole plan in a rational state. So when things are getting hard and you're feeling emotional, don't let that dictate a different plan, because that is just not what you're committed to. That is not aligned to where you want to go. That is just your brain tricking you. And remember, you cannot trust your brain. Just stick to the plan. It's like me in this YouTube channel. Do I ever feel like filming a YouTube video? Never. I promise you, I never feel excited or motivated to film, but I do it anyways, because you know what I do love? I love being done with this presentation. I also love when I get comments and rewards after I post the presentation. And you know what I love even more is when I realize that I am actualizing my vision, where I impact tons of ambitious people to reach their potential. Here's a teeny tiny summary of my presentation. You don't need motivation ever. All you need is discipline. And here's the layout of this 6-step process for you to build self-discipline. If you want some accountability and have people that are like-minded that push each other towards our dream, you can join my school private community with high achievers and people that support each other. And honestly, people have made progress because we have each other's back. So you can sign up in the link in my description. And don't forget to sign up for my newsletter, because this is where I get really personal with my people that receive my newsletter, because I share things about my private life, about my career as a professional soccer player, and how I learned things that can help you chase your dreams. And I don't share that anywhere else on any other platform. So if you're interested in that, please sign in the second link in my description. Now, be proud that you watched until the end. I'm very proud of you for watching that. And if you have watched until the end and invested in yourself, you're my type of person. And I want us to support each other. So I love you so much. Thank you for watching. And I'll see you this week in a new video. Mwah.